wanted to share some answers to some common LSAT FAQ I've been getting lately. First off, regarding the LSAT Flex. It is exactly the same content as the regular LSAT on tablet, the digital LSAT, and the same as the LSAT in person on paper back in the day. The difference is that it's shorter and it's 3 sections, not 5 specifically, meaning that there's only one logical reasoning section, not 2, and there is no experimental section of the exam, meaning you're done in 2 hours. But all the previously published exams are still perfectly relevant, still perfectly useful. Just skip one of the logical reasoning sections. What this means for you, though, is that logical reasoning matters a little bit less than it used to, and logic games and reading comprehension matter a little bit more. And LSAC has confirmed that all questions are weighted equally. So each section is worth roughly 1/3. So you may want to adjust your prep accordingly for that. You also want to simulate test day appropriately. So you're not doing it on paper, you're not doing it on a tablet, you're doing it on a computer. So do your practice tests on the computer. LSAC has put out a new site called Law Hub, also known as Official LSAT Prep Plus. So go to lawhub.lsac.org. You can get 2 LSAT exams for free, and you can get access to the majority of them in the online, flex, and digital format for about $99 a year. Well worth the investment to prep accordingly, the same way you'll be doing it on the actual test day. And also know that you're going to be doing it at home, not with the distractions of proctors or other test takers. So that's kind of a bonus. I get a lot of questions about how to structure your LSAT study plan appropriately. So I want to call your attention to 2 distinct ways of studying, one good, one bad. LASER versus open. LASER is an acronym standing for Learning, Accuracy, Sections, Exams, and Review. And that is the framework underlying my LSAT study plans, the framework underlying my courses as well. I want to contrast this with open, the obsessive practice exam narrative, which is the default a lot of students fall into. Obsessive practice exam narrative means you're doing full-length exam after exam after exam, you're measuring yourself, you're happy, you're sad about those results, and then you simply move on to the next exam without really learning from your mistakes. LASER means you're building the foundation first. You're learning, you're building with theory, you're building your accuracy by doing individual questions by type. You're then doing timed sections to work on pacing. Then you're doing full-length exams for endurance. And then you are reviewing the exams you complete in order to better learn from your mistakes. I also get a lot of questions about fitting in the time to study, fitting the time into your day, and devoting the time over the course of at least a few months. In order to structure your day appropriately, you've got to carve out time where you can. If you've got nothing but time and you've just got all the time in the world, no other obligations, you're not in work, you're not in school, that means you could potentially do too much. So you want to structure your day such that you are maximizing quality of life and maximizing your LSAT prep. What this means is that you want to do maybe 2.5 hours before lunch, 2.5 hours after lunch, and that's it. You don't need to do anything more than that. If you're working or you're in school, you may not be able to put in 5-6 hours a day of studying, but that's totally fine. I would then suggest maybe an hour before work, maybe an hour during lunch, maybe you've got some downtime during your workday, or maybe you're going to do some studying after work. But I would probably keep it, if you're working full time, max 2-3 hours a day of studying. I wouldn't necessarily try to do more than that. Now, as for number of months, a lot of folks will try to knock this out in 1 or 2 months. I actually had a student come to me recently who said he'd only put 10 hours into his studying up to this point, and he wanted to do the LSAT in just 1 month from now. And I said, I don't recommend that, and I'm not going to take you on as my student because from my experience, that's not the kind of dedication that's going to get you the results. I want you to be willing to put in at least 2 to 3 months, and ideally 5 to 6 months in order to achieve your fullest potential. The LSAT is that important. It's worth it if you think about it. You spend 4 years or more potentially getting your undergraduate GPA, and your LSAT score weighs more heavily than that. wouldn't it make sense to devote at least 5 to 6 months for that, given its importance? The LSAT is the number one factor in the law school admission process. It is the most important piece of the puzzle. So I would treat it at least like a part-time job, and devoting 5 to 6 months is perfectly reasonable given its importance in my book. Last thing I'll say is that your LSAT score does not define you. It doesn't say what kind of person you are. It doesn't say how successful you'll be as an attorney. The LSAT is simply considered a valid and reliable admission test because it is correlated with first-year law school grades. But the good news is that you can retake. Law schools do not average multiple LSAT scores. They only take the highest score, meaning that, let's say you take the upcoming LSAT and it doesn't go well, totally fine. Next one's just a month or so later. The LSAT's offered nearly every month now, and I believe that pretty much everybody should retake at least once, because through luck alone, you could do a couple points better. And if you study more over that additional month, who knows how high you could go. And if you don't do better, no big deal. Law schools will still calculate your chances and make their decisions based primarily on your top LSAT score. Yeah, of course, they'll see the others, but the top score is what gets submitted to the American Bar Association, and that's what's factored into the U.S. News ranking. So law schools have the incentive to consider the highest score, meaning that it is worth retaking. And if you're applying this fall, taking the LSAT in October and taking it in November is totally fine. Going into next calendar year, maybe your odds are a little bit lower. Maybe there's going to be less scholarship money available, but you could take it anytime, August, October, November, and still apply this cycle totally fine. Well, anyway, folks, hope you found this helpful. Please feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. I've also got a free, easy LSAT cheat sheet PDF download that I have linked here, so feel free to check that out if you'd like some advice on jumpstarting your prep. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care. Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them, and feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.